Welcome to Chișinău, capital of Moldova and the least visited country in Europe. I just arrived to my hotel here and I want to show you what you get for 55 euros a night here in Chișinău. And just for context, this is like the best hotel you can get here in the city. So the hotel room is in traditional Soviet style and this was considered luxury back then. So if you were to go on a luxurious holiday in the Soviet Union, this is what you would get. And I also want to show you the bathroom. Yeah. That's where I'm gonna stay for the next couple of days. But now it's time to explore the city fast. So let's go. So I'm here out in the streets of Chișinău, and I think this here is the main street. It's like really cold and really windy. Not very pleasant weather, but it really fits the Soviet vibe that the whole city is giving.
Around every third person in Moldova lives here in Chișinău. In 2019, the city had an estimated population of almost 700,000. However, many specialized workers are migrating out of Moldova in search of better opportunities.
While walking through the city center, there's lots of Soviet buildings everywhere. It's really impressive. For example, this one here.
While walking through the streets, I noticed many interesting buildings in the architectural style of socialist realism and brutalist architecture.
Also, I see some EU flags over there on the building because Moldova actually wants to join the EU, which makes sense because it's the poorest country in Europe and the European Union could definitely help them a little bit. So I do understand, but they're not in the EU yet, but they still have the flags everywhere. I also have some Christmas decoration up there already.
The main street looks quite nice, but once you leave the main road, you can see more and more signs of poverty.
I think they're also selling pets here on the side of the road. I hope someone will give them a good home. You can even smell all these flowers here. This big church over there is completely rebuilt because the original church was destroyed during Soviet rule, so they've rebuilt the whole church.
Most people in Moldova identify as Orthodox Christians. I decided to take a closer look and peek inside one of the churches. Inside, I saw several people praying, so I chose not to enter. Instead, I continued exploring the park area.
So this over here is the National Theatre and Opera House, if I translate that correctly. So the official language here in the country of Moldova is Moldovan. It's the same as Romanian, so Romanian, Moldovan, same. But in daily life, most people use Russian, I think, because I've heard it a lot in the streets. And the level of English is incredibly low. So Google Translate is a must here, unless you speak Russian. This very modern building here is a BYD building. It's a big brand from China that manufactures electric cars. When I was in China, these cars were everywhere, like literally like 50% of the cars were BYD. And I think China just built a super modern looking building here in the middle of the city. over here we found a market.
You could find just about anything here, from fruits, vegetables and meats to fish, clothes, hats, shoes, purses, household goods and hardware supplies. This market could replace any Walmart, I think.
So they're selling a lot of food here. They also sell a lot of electronics. Also, if you want to look for fake clothes, this is the place to be.
Inside the market hall, Babushka sold more vegetables and fruits, various spices and herbs, bakery items, and basically everything you need to cook a delicious meal.
Day number 2 in Chișinău, Moldova. That behind me is my hotel, by the way. And today I want to check out an abandoned sports center here in the city. And maybe this hotel here. That's the abandoned Hotel National, and when this was still Soviet Union, this hotel was the only place where foreigners were allowed to stay. Nowadays it's abandoned. It is in the middle of the city center, so in the middle of Chișinău city center, the capital of Moldova, you have this huge abandoned complex. Also here we have some fountains in front, and they definitely have seen better days.
Since the sun was shining, I thought it was the perfect day for some urban exploring. I made my way to the abandoned sports center, which housed a huge mosaic, as I had heard.
Here I am in the residential part of Chișinău, just about like 15-20 minute walk from the city center. The city isn't that big. And I heard that here in this area there's an abandoned sports center, right over there actually. Here, back here. And we're gonna try to get in there. I've heard there's security there, so we have to be a bit quiet. Here.
After searching the area, I found a suitable entry point behind some bushes.
There's some cars.
Our mission has failed.
Okay, so what happened is once we were in there and ran across the open field, an alarm was going off. So it wasn't only the dogs barking, it was also an alarm in there. We saw behind the bushes that the guard was like walking in our direction. He hasn't seen us yet, but we decided if there's dogs plus an alarm, it's not worth it to risk it.
Instead, we decided to head back to the abandoned National Hotel in the center of Chișinău. Back at our hotel where we stayed at, we randomly met a tour group, so we decided to check out the abandoned National Hotel together.
Here on the roof, and the view is amazing.
The next day, I left the hotel in the morning and went to the bus terminal of Chișinău. My plan was to visit the unrecognized country of Transnistria, which has been occupied by Russia and still lives in the Soviet Union.
We're here at the bus station of Chișinău, and now we're gonna find a marsrutka to Tiraspol in Transnistria, an unrecognized state here in Moldova. And if you wanna check out my adventures in Transnistria, go check out my next video. See you next time.